Good morning. You're listening to WXOX 97.1 FM in Louisville, Kentucky, or perhaps you are streaming at our sister station, WXND 100.9 on the dial. However you're coming to us, welcome. This is Artist Talk with LVA, the show produced by Louisville Visual Art, and I'm your host, Keith Waits. Today we have, let's see, I think Sabra Crockett, I think this is maybe your third visit to the show. And maybe it's more, but anyway, you have now officially a friend of the show, capital F, friend of the show. But Sabra Crockett describes herself as a Yankee wandering through the South. She finally found her home in Louisville, Kentucky, with all the beautiful songbirds surrounding her and the most spectacular variety of trees she could possibly hope for. She has exhibited widely around Kentucky, including at the Art Center of the Bluegrass in Danville and Core Gallery here in Louisville. And I'm talking to her today because she has been generous enough to agree to be one of our featured artists at this year's Art Squared online auction. The bidding will be open July 21st at 6 p.m. and close, June 21st at 6 p.m. and close June 23rd at 9 p.m. This has kind of become the LVA's annual signature fundraiser, and it's been wildly successful. And we have so many artists that contribute to this. And this year, and Sabra has contributed 8x8 canvases in the past, but this year she did a 24 by 24 inch as a featured artist of a beautiful bird painting. So Sabra Crockett, how you doing?
I am much better now. Thank you, Keith.
Right, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but let's first talk about
Yeah.
let's talk about your work. So this is unsurprisingly a very beautiful painting of a bird. It's kind of a portrait because it's sort of like a head and shoulders. If birds have shoulders, it's sort of a head and shoulders portrait of a bird. And
Yeah.
I know we've talked about this before, but just take a moment to revisit why birds are such a crucial subject matter for you.
Oh my gosh. So many reasons. They have to do with my past, a very kind of painful and traumatic relationship with my grandmother. It kind of heals that sense. They are really accessible and you can always see them around. They sing, and I also sing as well. Um, they have become a favorite pastime of people, especially during COVID, because there was not much for people to do. And so they actually started going outside and connecting with nature. And one way was bird watching. And I'm not going to say that that's what started it because I've had a love affair with birds, oh, for my entire life, honestly. Um,
Did you have pet
but
birds when you were
pardon?
young? Did you ever have pet birds like
I
canaries,
never had a pet
parakeets?
bird.
No.
I have a had a pet squirrel, but I mean, the squirrel was still autonomous and outside, but I taught the squirrel to jump up on my shoulder and grab a peanut from my pocket, and his name was Ralph. Um, as far as I, I I never felt good about domesticating wild things,
Mhm.
and so that was never really my path. Um, I felt that, well, we had dogs and rabbits and fish and cats. I mean, for any kind of domesticated animal, cat is my favorite. But, and of course, having a bird and a cat at the same time doesn't work really well. That's a bit frustrating for the cat and a bit stressful for the bird. So, um, no, I've never felt like I wanted a pet bird. I feel that they need to be in their own environment, and it's much more important to preserve that environment than it is for me to capture them and take care of them.
Have you
So,
had a relationship with a bird the way you did with the squirrel? Is there a bird that keeps visiting your home or anything like that that you've ever?
not in the past. I actually now have a cardinal, that every time I go out and put out the seed, he will greet me in the morning and chirp, and it's adorable. And I talk to him, and yeah. So, but I haven't gotten to the point, like I see a lot of those interviews, or not those interviews, like those TikTok videos where people have birds eating out of their hands, or and I think, wow, that's really amazing. That takes a lot of patience and a lot of trust, and that's a lot of time too. And I'm usually just so interested in observing them that I don't have the time, honestly, to just sit there for hours with my hand outreached with a lot of seed in it. I
Right.
don't know. Maybe one day. Maybe one day
I
I'll do
always
it.
think that, like you say, those are people that aren't working or aren't,
Right.
yeah, because you just have, or at least they've made, maybe they just have a very long vacation and managed to build that relationship up. But
Maybe, I just I have to work. Like I'm constantly in the studio if I'm not home, or I'm constantly on site working. Like I'm working on a mural right now for Norton Women and Children's Hospital, and I haven't even been in the studio that much because that's what I've been focusing on since May 17th. So,
right, I've seen that in your social media, and so that's not finished yet.
no, it's not. Because well, obviously I had to take a week off because I got COVID. Um, but I mean, even before then, it wasn't done. And I think I have 14 more days to work on it. I have my schedule up there.
How
So it should be done about 2 weeks, hopefully, 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 hopefully.
how far? Well, the picture, and of course, the pictures on social media, you're just sort of, it's sort of like a work in progress, but
Right.
it looks like a lot's been done. How
Yeah.
much more, like on a percentage basis, how much more do you have to do to complete it?
Okay. So there's still the railing that needs to go, and there's still the floor that needs to be painted. Um, I got all of the limestone block pretty much lined out, and I still need to kind of do some glazing and spattering on that, but I was going to do that today after this interview, actually. Um, so I would say probably about 35% I still need to get done.
Well, then, when you say the floor, are you painting the floor? Is that a part of the image, or is that just going to? So it's going to extend down.
Yeah, so it's a trompe l'oeil
Mm-hmm.
image, so it feels like a three-dimensional space, but it's painted on a two-dimensional surface.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the handy dandy use of perspective, I was able to kind of create a space, and I'm extending the floor into the painting to look like it extends, it continues in there. So it just feels like you can walk up to the railing and look at the beautiful landscape that's out there. So
Right,
that's what I'm
great.
trying.
Well, and say again where this is, if people.
Sure, it's at Norton Women and Children's Hospital. It is actually in the bistro area, which is on the first floor, and you can't miss it, honestly.
But it'll be very
Uh,
accessible. You don't have to be checked in to the facility and to see it.
no, right, right.
All right.
Yeah,
No,
you go grab a coffee and sit there and enjoy it, honestly.
well, so let's just take a minute, because we were talking before we recorded, about the importance of COVID and how we, or the importance of it seems like a lot of people I know, and like COVID's making the rounds again. It's not as serious, as weighty a thing as it was, but it's still nothing to kid around with. And we were just talking about the fact that the world has become a place where masking is entirely optional. And
Yes.
you were talking about how your experiences. We'll talk about your experience, how it's made you think a little bit differently about how to manage yourself in this period, because we're not done with COVID. It's not over.
No,
And
we're
in this
not.
late stage, though, talk about what it's made you think about.
Well, I mean, before that was Brittany, actually. Um, before I had COVID and before I was vaccinated, I was very, very careful. And after I got vaccinated, I felt more relaxed, and so I relaxed um my own requirements a lot more. And then I actually just went to a an event that had hundreds and hundreds of people there, and I'm sure that's where I got it. And of course, I was unmasked. Everyone was unmasked. It was kind of a networking thing, so you're talking to different people and strangers that you don't know. And excuse me, and then I got COVID. So for now, wherever I go, in a public space, be um I'm gonna be masking up because it's not gone. It's like you just kept hearing, like my friend Edwin, who we had an interview with last time,
Right, that you showed
he
with.
he had COVID a couple of weeks ago, and it took him like 10 days to recover from that. Excuse me. And I know a lot of other people that are getting it. Like my whole family now pretty much has it. I might need to grab something to drink right now.
Okay,
Can we stop a second?
sure. Why don't you get a drink, and I'm just going to explain why you do that.
Okay.
That well, because actually, Sabra was not sure if we would be able to do this interview because just a few days ago, her voice was not in the kind of shape that it would need to be for this interview. So this is just in the last couple of days she's had her voice come back adequately enough and to do this. So
Asking definitely.
now we're back.
Okay. Yes. So masking definitely, taking precautions, washing hands, keeping the social distance. Um, I'm going to go back to how I dealt with COVID before because I do not want this again. Oh my heavens. It's
Right.
awful.
And that's the other thing that we've learned about COVID is, that I think there was a lot of feeling at the beginning, which is often true with communicable diseases, that once you have it, you can't get it. And we've learned that that's not true. Many, many, many people have had it more than once. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my first time. We were so lucky. My whole family never had it. And
Well,
then I get it, and then everybody's sick.
I've never had it either. I'm knocking on this wooden table next to me as I say that.
Please knock, because it's horrible.
So, when you're sick like that, like, are you able to work? Obviously, you weren't able to go work on your mural, but like, are you able to paint, draw? Does that give you any comfort, solace, or were you just completely out?
I was completely out.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because I was thinking, I was like, all right, I can't work on the mural, but I have this commission I can do. Can I get people to like bring the commission home so I'm not in the studio? Um, and I was like, nope, I don't have any energy whatsoever. I'm gonna have to cough again. Excuse me. Ah,
But
so
again,
much
this
fun.
this is just such a it's a palpable, visible example of like the reality of it, and how it still can take. And I was hearing like, oh, it's just you get over it in a couple of days, but it seems like these more recent cases that I've heard of, it hasn't gone quite so quickly. It's not like it was 2 years ago, but it's
No,
actually lingering a little bit more.
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Yep.
do you have any other mural projects lined up after Norton, or is
So after this one, they are considering to do the wall next to it, but I'm not sure if that is going to happen or not. It's just something that they've been talking about.
Mhm.
Um, but uh, but no, nothing definite right now. But they're all very happy with it. Um, like Norton has been a great um organization to work for. They have just been really, really nice to me. And so accommodating, and I've gotten nothing but support from them. So I would definitely work with them again. And this was a different department from the last one too. So I can say that it isn't just one department that is wonderful to work with. I mean,
Seems to
I
be.
haven't had any issues whatsoever.
Well, and that tends to point, not to turn this into commercial then, but that tends to point to a healthy culture within the organization at large.
Yes.
You know, if more than one department has that same sort of thing, and you'd like to think healthcare people would be that way anyway, but you know,
Yes.
that's a whole nother topic about corporate healthcare in America. Um,
Yeah.
so are you are you I'm just I mean, we have two things that happen with this that are not public events, but we do invite some donors and collectors, and then we have a little party for the artists. uh do you feel, this is not till the 21st and 23rd, but do you feel like you'll be able to come to that? Will that will
Yeah.
enough recovery time, so we'll
Yeah.
be able to see you and people will be able to see you with
Yeah.
your beautiful bird?
Yeah, definitely. Like I don't feel like I don't have any symptoms except for right now,
uh
just coughing.
Well, this might, I'm going to guess this might be the most extended talking you've done in a few days, right? You
Hmm.
know, it's been maybe 15 minutes right now or something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that makes it harder. Well, I appreciate you doing this. And
Absolutely.
you know, and well, but because I mean, I know we always have a good time talking, but I mean, I appreciate you doing it even though, you know, you're still sort of in your recovery period.
Mm. It's my pleasure, really.
Yeah. Well, I was just so happy to have you do a larger bird. You know, you were talking about the interruption there from your not studio mate exactly. She's down the hall, but your studio mate within Art Sanctuary, Brittany Baker, who
Hmm.
also had, we had a bird from Brittany a few years
Hmm.
ago. First time we did the 2x2 feature, or no, actually, I think that was a 4x4. That was a
It was a 4x4, I remember.
4x4. And so you and I talked about the fact that it seems like in Art Sanctuary, there's a lot of bird activity from artists. And do you
Yep.
influence each other?
I think in a way, yes, we do. Um, I I don't know. We're just all bird nerds. Like it's really nice to all talk together, and then we get all excited about a bird that we've seen and we talk about that, and I don't know. Like it's just really pretty awesome with the sense of community that we have here. But you know, through the years, artists that are around together definitely influence each other. I mean, that's why we have movements. So maybe Art Sanctuary has the bird movement. I don't know.
Well, kind of makes sense because, you know, when you think about the word sanctuary, of course, has a very religious connotation, but you also have heard it functionally very often as in terms of like a bird sanctuary. So art
Hmm.
sanctuary is an artist sanctuary, and artists, maybe there's a relationship. I might be reaching a little bit here, but maybe artists and birds have a natural affinity.
Well, and I think it's just because there's a connection to nature, and I think we're all just kind of really wanting that and searching for it.
Right.
And like I said, birds are really accessible. That's the easiest way. Birds and plants are the most accessible way to connect to nature. And I think that's why we're all enamored with them and we want to paint them and share them. So,
Okay. Well, I think we'll wrap it up here so you can give your throat a rest and maybe drink some more liquids. But
okay.
Sabra Crockett is one of our featured artists. Again, I'll say, um, it's coming through the Zoom to me.
No.
Um, one of the featured artists at the 2022 Art Squared online auction. It is online only. All you have to do is you go to our website, when the time comes. We expect to have the site up so people can look at the work probably about a week ahead, probably somewhere around the 17th, 18th. So look for that. We'll let everybody know on our social media. I'll let people know on the radio show. I'll just say, like, in addition to Sabra, our featured artists are Simone Brown, Nikolai Donchev, and Shamel Ford. And so please come check it out and be a part of it. It's a very fun thing. The art, most of the art begins at a very low bidding. So this is a great way to start collecting. If you think you have to be rich and spend lots of money to collect art, Art Squared is for you, because you don't.
The one thing I did want to say, Keith, is the reason why I painted that raven and why I named it Adaptability is a Key to Survival is because I read an article about crows and ravens being just living everywhere on every continent. And so, kind of tying in with our survival and the crow because they're and the raven because they're so smart. That was kind of the reason why I decided to do them. And everybody loves ravens, so.
Yes. Well, thank you
But
so
yeah.
much for, no, I'm glad you said that. Thank you so much, Sabra Crockett. And hope your recovery continues apace.
Thank you, Keith. I really appreciate talking to you always. And I'm really looking forward to this art, the LVA Art Squared. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It always is. And I'm happy to support the Louisville artist community.
All right. Sabra Crockett.